a lot of crime happening on that album, but it still was like kind of framed as like a movie. You know, it was written, felt like a cinematic experience versus like instructions to how to go kill niggas. And it was like one of the, like, the conceptually, it was like one of the first times. My first concept records were Spice One, but Nas on like I Gave You Power. Psst, what? Then Black Girl Lost. Black Girl Lost was one of like the first records where it was like a super conscious, like, I'm gonna teach you some morality. You know, it might be considered chauvinistic today, or like mansplaining. But for me at the time, that shit was like the Bible, you know? And it set me on a path of like consciousness, right? So it like instilled like, oh, yo, you got to have some consciousness, some wokeness way back then, mixed in, again, the template for what it means to have a complete album, right? A complete album with everything covered, right? So you got your concepts, you got your stories, you got your consciousness, you got your kind of experimental stuff, you got your pop, kind of like mainstream radio type approaches, you got like some underground grimy stuff on there, and so yeah, it was like the template for me. So what else can I say? Pontificate. I remember getting the booklet. I remember having the album, right? Playing through the album, and then not knowing what Nas had said on certain things, so I'm just riffing through it, right? And I remember getting the booklet, and the book had the lyrics in it, and I remember reading through the lyrics, and I was like, oh, that's what he said? Like, yo, that's crazy. So I remember having that moment. I think that was like my second Nas out. Second it was written, but I remember that moment. The cover was super classic. And I didn't know that it was an Illmatic. So it was written and seeing him as like, you know, Nas the man, and then you go back, you see him as the boy, and it was like, what? Then of course the next album's I Am, where he's the king, the pharaoh, which is like, yo, it's even super crazier. But what else can I say about It Was Written, man? I mean, I'm speaking about it because it's like it is one of those records that was actually formative in my career, and the music and the records that I went on to create, like the albums that you have or the mixtapes that you have to this day. And I was like, oh, Lupe Fiasco, yeah, you know what, you know, like if I had to present to you like how, like if everybody ever wanted to know, like, man, what was your influences for your records? Why'd you put albums together the way you do? Why do you have so many different, or have to attempt to have so many different angles on your albums? Like so many different things. So it's not just like one consistent vibe through the record. Like it's always kind of jumping. It's because It Was Written. You know, that's why I learned to make an album. I didn't necessarily learn how to rap from that album. I definitely took cues and had some education. But it was more education in like, this is how you make an album. You make an album like this, like It Was Written. And then again, reinforced with Black on Both Sides, which I think came out a year later or something like that. Or 2 years later. I think Black on Both Sides came out in 98 or 99, maybe even. Either way. What else? I think that's it. I think that's there's nothing more else to be said about it, you know. 25 years ago, Nas released his second album. To me, his optimal work, right? His optimal work, the work where he figured it all out and executed. One thing that was dope, I remember having it on tape, and so you got the tape. And then I remember having a copy on CD, and you come to find out that Silent Murder, which is a ridiculous record, Silent Murder, which was like the last song on the tape, wasn't on the CD, and I didn't know that until like, man, I was like, yo, where's Silent Murder at? If I'm not mistaken, unless I'm tripping, but I think that was the case. So Silent Murder was like a bonus track or whatever, but I think it was on the tape. It wasn't on the CD. So that was a little bit of, whatever. Any questions? I'll take a few questions. Thanks for everybody donating to Adisia. Appreciate it.